All right, everyone. Here I have a very special guest, one of my
Mm.
followers, a very smart lady from Brazil. Her name is Maraisa. Hopefully, I got that right. I got you guys pronounce names differently than we do. So,
I
Maraisa,
get
tell us a little. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and your background.
um I'm Brazilian, born and
Yeah.
raised, and I am a doctor, and that's pretty much it. Almost 30 years old in February, and that's it.
Oh, okay. I'm a February baby myself, so that's why we get along so well.
I
So
guess.
you're yeah,
Yes.
so you're very smart. You're a very smart lady. What made
Not
you want to
that
be
much.
a doctor?
My father.
He
My
was a
father,
doctor too?
n- he's military. He's a military
Oh.
man, and he had a stroke when I was
Mm,
still in high school,
mm,
and it was a struggle. He's fine now, and I think that moment on, I wanted to be because I wanted to take care of him, and also because socially, it was the easiest way to better my situation, my family situation in in Brazil. Be a
okay,
doctor,
that's
it is
interesting.
more conservative career path.
Okay.
Very boring. No,
Yeah,
no,
no, I mean
no
it's
big.
interesting. It's interesting meeting people, like finding out why people do choose their careers, and I mean, hey, that's a pretty good reason to me. So what type so you are a brain doctor, do you have a specific name for for what type of doctor you are? You just tell people, "Hey, I'm a brain doctor."
Well, I am a neurologist.
Neurologist, okay, cool. So now,
I am not
I
a
just wanna make sure.
neurosurgeon.
Yeah,
I am a neurologist.
okay, interesting. So yeah, you're much I was very surprised, because you never told me at first that you were a brain doctor. I think I saw some articles you posted on Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, okay. She's probably in the medical field." And then you said you're a brain doctor, and it's it's not an easy profession. So, kudos to you. So, you know what type of content I make. You know, what I talk about. Is there a reason you were interested in the content or my tweets or anything I have to say? Or is it just something that was new to you and you wanted to delve more into how men and women date and how we do it in America? Like, what was the reason you were interested in my account?
I thought you were a piano account.
Ah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
On the first video that I saw, and then I saw the that very long Twitter that you said naming the reasons or how to date, like very
Oh
long.
yeah,
And I read the first one, and then I read the second one. Oh, it's not just piano; he does something else. And I thought it was curious. I was curious.
mm,
I never uh, read nothing like that or consumed that content. I thought you were piano guy. I'm sorry. I
yeah,
ended up staying. I ended up staying.
yeah.
Very
You're brave.
interesting.
You're very brave.
It's entertaining. I know that you mean well, right? That you're talking about serious things in relationships, but it's entertaining.
Okay. Uh, yeah, I mean, sometimes I come off as very rude or very mean to people, but
Accurate. I would say accurate.
or yeah, well, thank you. But the point is, so it's not to dislike women for what they could never be, but to accept them for who they are, and you know, then you can decide as a man what you want to do, whether you want to be married or single or whatever you want, right? So you saw the thread, and did you think, wow, what are they doing in America? What's your as a Brazilian woman, especially a very educated Brazilian woman, What do you think of the dating market here in the United States? Like, how do you think
I
we do? Like, did it shock you, or did you just confused?
I'm just confused because I have been to United States once to
Ah,
study,
okay.
and I what I got, but it wasn't a big city. It was a small city in Florida. And what I saw, and I don't think that changed much, was people getting married young, having lots of children. But I was dealing with middle class, religious people.
Mm,
So this big city modern, I don't see it. I saw people, I saw a lot of young married couple, but maybe it was I don't know how to say that in English, but because it was a small city and people that take in foreign students are usually religious people. But what I saw was very different from movies that you see this
mm.
modern career. I saw people getting married young and planning to have lots of children. I don't know what happened or where you live, but that's what I saw. Maybe this is a part of America that's not very seen. So I'm confused. Why is it so difficult?
Well, I think like the cities, um, there tends to be people focus more on their career and put off marriage until the end. And then for like the suburbs or very religious communities, they tend to try to push marriage as soon as possible. So it just
Yeah.
depends what part of the country you're at. If you're out far away from a city, then most likely um, people get married and have children much younger. However, they also get divorced earlier.
Yes.
So there's a
Yes.
lot of that. It's what happens is that even if a woman is married early or she's young and lives out in the country, she still has an iPhone. She still has a phone and she can look
Yes.
at what she's missing. And I know this because I dated a young woman in 2020 who was 19 years old and I was 30 at the time. And she still got offered trips to California, to Florida by other men, right? And she would tell
Hmm.
me, she was very honest, like, "Hey, like before I met you, this guy offered me a trip and this guy offered me a trip." So the temptation is always there, and that's slowly over time, more and more women are taking up those offers and all that stuff. So, I don't know how long ago you were in the United States, but all women have an iPhone, they can see
Hello.
the life of whether they wanna participate in that or not, it's on them, but they have access, and, social media is not real, a lot of it's fake. So they think that, hey, if they just show up somewhere, they'll they'll find the perfect man, the Prince Charming, the corporate guy, whatever, but it's not usually like that,
Yes.
so, is there
And very
anything else?
different from what I saw. Very
Yeah.
different from what I saw because I am from a small town, Brazil, but I lived in
Uh-huh.
São Paulo. São Paulo is a big city.
Yeah, yeah, it's a big city.
And I was focused on becoming a doctor. So all my years, all my 20s were for that. And I saw in Brazil is the same thing. If you go to the big cities, there's a lot of influence, United States influence culture. And you see a
Mhm.
lot of older women single, even in Latin America, in South America.
Yeah, it's I
But
mean, we're
maybe it's spreading. Look, maybe it's spreading. And I'm
yeah,
here too. I'm not married.
yeah, I mean, uh, is there anything else, like, from not from, like, when you visited, like, from, let's say, what you see on Twitter, like my feed or people I engage with, is there anything else that kinda shocks you or stands out from, like, that's very different from Brazil and the way they date and all that?
Very different. Uh, in the way Brazilians date, what I see, what I see, is Brazilian men tend to be very upfront
Mhm.
when they approach, but it also can humble you very fast as a woman. I mean, if they don't get the response right away, because they're very forward.
Mhm.
That's what I see. And if you don't, they move on, next woman, right there in front of you. So
Right
they
in front
humble
of
you
you. Yeah.
very easily. So maybe what's different from what I saw is that in the United States, they tend to be a little more, American men, a little more cautious. And in Brazil, men are straightforward. But you're not special. Okay, if you don't want it, some other woman wants it, and right there in front of you or your friend, they don't have this, maybe this, I don't know how to say that in English, pudor in English. I don't know. They don't have this. Uh, Whatever. It's
Patience.
another. Yeah, another. Yes, patience. Another woman. They try for another woman, and eventually one wants. And what I saw is very men very cautious in United States. It's not like that in Brazil. It's more aggressive here.
Yeah, here men really just wait. Um, they'll wait weeks for women to text them back, message
Weeks?
them back. Yeah. Some women will make a man wait a month, 3 months. It
No.
and meanwhile they're just still with their ex and they're still yeah, it's very Machiavellian and here and a lot of men they do it to themselves, right? Because when men aren't forward, at least you know they're not trying to lie to you. They're not they're being honest. And a lot of
Yeah.
women here just they take advantage of men that hesitate and try to get as much money and attention out of them because they
Yes.
just giving it away for free.
Like gringos. Brazilian women like gringos very much.
Well,
I
of
think it's
course
because
they
of that.
do. Yeah.
Like they're easier. They're very easier to you can get
Seduce.
anything out of them.
Yeah, that's the
And
how the whole world
I'm
sees
being
American men.
honest, I'm confessing. But it's
No,
easy.
it's fine.
It's easy.
No, I mean, it's true, I agree with you, like, American men give money to women for no reason, just to give it to them, um, and they only think that that's what women want, and then when the woman
And they
only
get
gives them. Yeah, go ahead.
yes. And they get very fascinated with women. I live in a very touristic area, and in São Paulo
Mhm.
there's a lot of foreigners too. They get fascinated. I mean, they're just being nice to him, and he's in love. Gringos are like that.
Wow. So do they give them a lot of money? Is there a lot of
No,
sugar
no, because
dating?
Brazilian men are not like that. They're not easy to to fool like that.
Oh, okay. So, is there a lot of passport bros in your area? Like the guys that go to look for wives or girlfriends or just fun?
I I don't know. I mean, I
Okay.
see, especially now in the summer, there's a lot of foreigners, a lot of people from Europe, but a lot of women too. I find it funny because I see a lot of women, a lot of gringas here too, traveling by
Mm,
themselves. There was a time when I was growing up, I saw a lot of men, but
mhm.
now a lot of women too. It's mixed. But I
Wow.
see Brazilian women like gringos very much. I think it's because it's easier and they don't have it easy with Brazilian men.
Okay. So what is a first date like in Brazil? What do they do in Brazil to like what do people do for a first date in Brazil?
Well, usually coffee,
Mm,
and maybe it's because it's my what I do.
mhm.
The only place that I go outside work is the gym. So people go jogging, people do running. Brazil is
Okay.
very active. Everybody works out here. It's
Yeah.
very hard to
That's
find one person that doesn't work out.
Yeah,
And
America needs more of that. We're all very, very fat.
this, in the city that I am from, it's in a like a pandemics of running marathons, and people get together in those running marathons and they pair up. There, I think there's even like apps that join couples in marathons now.
Wow.
It's maybe it's an older thing, but I don't know what the kids are doing. I don't know because after I saw your tweet, I decided to stop being so lazy and get out there. But
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
usually what I see
yeah, that's
in the
that's really
gym.
what yeah, go ahead.
In the gym and running, I don't see people going to dinner. Like my friends that are single, a lot of them are married, and but a few are still single. Don't see them going to dinners. It's usually something active in the beach or running or going to eat
Interesting.
during the day.
Wow. So, yeah, that's very interesting because here, while there's like run clubs where people just run for fun and all that, and social activities like dancing. Usually the first date here is like drinks or dinner or something like that. And I say go to drinks because women here love to they'll go out with you even if they don't like you, right? Um, and that's a big like women here have a lot of options and they kind of they're not even sure they like you. They just go on a date just to go through the motions and stuff. And guys just throw
But
them money and
how do you meet? You don't meet in person. You keep meeting only online.
are you talking about me or the average person?
The average person.
Most people here meet on dating apps. Per what the data says, what like surveys. And there's also like through a friend.
Yeah, it's
There's
more organic.
also yeah, but mostly it's like 60-70% dating apps. That's how
I
most
see.
people meet. Yeah. And we don't do like physical dates. Like we don't go like play soccer or go for a run. Usually it's just drinks or dinner and all that stuff. That's usually what a first date is here in the
But
United
she
States. Or
goes out
coffee.
without liking you. She goes out without liking a guy.
Yeah, so it's just uh a lot of women they're not even sure about going out with you. They don't remember women here make a lot of money and they got their own thing and to them a relationship is like a prison
I see.
where if they get with a guy then they have to follow his rules, right? And they don't like that. So a lot of times they will go out with a guy and see if they like him, but deep down there's just no incentive to be in a relationship anymore besides, you know, you don't want anyone to see you as single or something.
I
So
see.
what ends up happening is that a lot of women have what's called like a situationship, which is basically a nice way of saying she only sees him for sex. And then maybe they kind of hold hands and maybe they kind of but she keeps the door open for other men just in case.
It happens here too.
Yeah. It's a strategy that women have so they don't have to put all their eggs in one basket. And a lot of women say, it's our fault, it's our fault, it's our fault, and we're bad people, men are bad, but we're just adapting to the environment. I didn't ask for this dating scene, right? I'm just doing the best I can and all that. So, but I
Yeah,
mean, it's interesting to see the differences. How like in Brazil, it's more like fitness oriented, and all that. That's really good. That's really
very
inspiring.
very maybe because I think it's strong MMA culture,
Ah,
and
yeah,
we
yeah.
also as women, Brazil has the highest. Now I'm talking like a doctor. Brazil has the highest rate of women using steroids. This is
Oh,
downstream of MMA culture. If you see a muscular woman in the United States, it's a Brazilian woman.
wow. Wow, I did not know that. Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, and steroids make women's testosterone go really high, so,
Yes.
um
And what you say? about relationships. Women don't want to be, and not being very honest. Because when I read your tweet, I
Mhm.
cannot speak for myself, but maybe it can be extrapolated for women in general, around
Mhm.
my age. I don't know. It's true because um, I got very comfortable now that I have money, now that I have a career. The stress of not having money is gone, and that plays a part. And I was always complaining it's hard to have a relationship in Brazil. Of course, as you get older, it's going to get naturally hard, but also because you don't expose yourself. You don't the gym and work, so you don't do what it takes. I remember I knew what I had to do to become a doctor. And every decision I made, the most mundane habit, was targeted for me to become a doctor. Even the meals that I ate, I targeted to the ones that made my brain sharper. I had a
Mhm.
time to go to bed, I had a time to sleep, I had a schedule because I wanted that outcome. And to be honest, I was happy taking action for that outcome. I didn't know if I was going past the tests and become a doctor or not, but taking the action and working towards it and being disciplined about it, I was already it made me happy. And in my brain, complaining that I don't have a relationship, complaining, and if I look at my actions in the most mundane decisions, nothing that I do is working towards having a relationship. So I can speak all I want that I wanted and be sad about it, but the truth is I'm not doing nothing. And here's a thing that it might upset that you don't have a relationship for 2 or 3 days, but then after you get easily distracted and you're no longer thinking about it anymore. So it's not consistent. It's not hurting enough. It's not bothering enough for you to go after it. Like it was bothering me not not having academic achievements. Maybe I'm trying to make a comparison here.
No, this is
Uh,
very good insight. This is very, very good insight.
and it's true. Nobody needs. I think I read something that you said that nobody needs each other anymore, and it's true until something very extreme happens. Like again, a couple of weeks ago, I get a call from my mother. My father rushed to the emergency room, and they call me. My family relies on me on those matters. And but I'm still a daughter, so I got terrified. Got in the car to see what's going on because she was taking him to the hospital. And I remember that one of the thoughts that rushed to my head, my God, if I had a husband, it would be easier. I need a man in my life because if the worst had happened, I couldn't handle it. It would easily break me, even in those extreme moments. So the days after, no, I have to approach this situation with the same seriousness that I had when I wanted to become a doctor. I say that I want it, now work towards it. But the days come, and again, I get distracted and I do not make the effort. For example, I go to the gym and I have to make a conscious effort after reading the things you say. No, I'm going to take the headphones off and start at least saying good morning to people, not get
Wow.
in, work out, and get out to work. Because I refuse to use dating apps. That's another thing. I keep adding obstacles for
Mhm.
for for a reason that I don't even I don't know why. I can't even translate into words why. I keep adding obstacles to the outcome I want. And I remember this. No, I'm gonna make a conscious effort to to wear clothes that are more colorful, stop wearing so much black and gray in the gym, take the headphones off, smile to people, and already that was enough. That was enough to be approached. So it's not even that hard. It's not
Yeah.
even, I didn't even require that much. So the being honest with myself, I just didn't want to be in a relationship. I want to complain about it. I want to be sad and enjoy being sad, but I wasn't doing anything to move towards that outcome. Nothing until I read your tweet.
Wow. So, well, hey, um,
I had to be
I, well, thank you for your honesty. Yeah, it's just, this isn't only a woman thing. It's a men and women, human beings. You, we are not our goals. We are our habits. A lot of people think they are their goals. Like one day I'm going to be this, so that's what I am. You know, one day I'm going to be this, or I want to do this, so that's what I am. Like, no, you are your habits. So, if you're a woman and you're complaining about relationships online, to your friends, to your family, whatever, but you don't take the steps to get into one, which women innately know that they have to do certain things. You know, women are not stupid; they're smart, just
honest.
like us. They know exactly what is necessary. The problem is that being sad or angry or complaining a lot of times is more fun or better. And on top of that, the
Yes,
real maybe most women don't want to be in a relationship and they just don't want to accept that, right? There is a lot of power in and women becoming victims. So instead of taking action and doing the things necessary, they would rather be victim because there's more power and it's more fun, more attention from that. And then male expectation, right? Because imagine you get with a guy and you know that guy could get other women, but he chooses
yeah,
you. But that means that you might get jealous all the time, or that means that you might feel, you know, less insecure around him because he has female attention, and women don't want to deal with it. They'd rather be single and get more stuff, and
especially especially in Brazil, it's very hard
especially in
to
Brazil. Yeah,
confess that.
yeah. In America, at least, all most women are overweight, so you don't have to worry as much. But for example, if you're a young woman and let's say you want to go to Miami or New York or who knows, even Brazil, wherever country to go have fun, if you have a boyfriend, he's probably not gonna let you do that. So there's so many things women are like, they say they want a relationship. I'm like, no, you don't. You want to do whatever you want all the time, which hey, you're an adult, but for the guy, I tell the guys do not fall for that. For women trying to tell you that they want a relationship because it's really easy for women to get in one, or at least try because you know it's the easiest time in history. You guys have Instagram, you guys have money, so you don't have to like get with the first guy that you see. You can wait, you can choose, you know. So yeah, that's why I say that, and it helps a lot of men because a lot of men are blaming themselves. They're just like, why am I not good enough? I'm like, I've had guys that make good money, lots of money, and are in shape and attractive and all that stuff, and they tell me, why isn't she into me? And I'm like, dude, she doesn't want to be in a relationship. It has nothing to do with you, right? She likes the attention you give her. She doesn't want to be in a relationship with you. And that's the sad part, right? That's just the way it is, I guess, in America. And that we just have to contend with that for the time being. So, um, in terms of the things that you read that I write on Twitter or whatever, is there anything that really stood out to you or something that you really disagree with or you don't like or you do like? Is there anything that you're like, wow, this makes a lot of sense or something?
I don't think I don't read everything, but I don't
Mhm.
think I've read something that I completely disagree. Everything that I write that I read that you wrote made sense. No, I mean even if you're trying to be viral,
Yeah.
but it was never. It was accurate. It was accurate, and it's very hard to be honest when you're as women. It's very hard to be honest. When I read your tweet, I was about to cancel, about to cancel a date, and it was for the most ridiculous reason. You say yes, and I change my mind over. a conversation not going in the direction that I wanted, and that being enough for me to it's not it. Chasing a feeling that you can even put into words is not reason enough to not at least try, right? And if I really want to, I can be charming. If I really want, if the conversation is not going in the direction that I want, I can change the subject, and I have the skills. I mean, I don't. He doesn't
Mhm.
have to do all the work. If he's talking, bringing up ex-wife, I can change the subject, and I can still make the encounter pleasant if I put in the effort and not expect him to say all the right things to make me feel excited. And that was the moment that I realized that no, I'm going to go. I'm not going to cancel. I'm going to see. And I ended up enjoying. And I was looking at, I'm speaking for myself. I don't like talking about myself that much. I don't. If I am in that context with the opposite gender, I rather hear what he has to say. I rather hear his life, his stories. I don't like so asking me a lot of questions about me. I get bored talking about myself. I don't like it because there's nothing very interesting for me to say about me. So when I am attracted, I want to hear him, okay? And maybe he was talking to me not because he was not because he was very into me, but because that's what he thought that I would like. And I could see that more clearly. No, he already approached, he did all this work. And as I sat there and I hear him talking about his life, he's a better person, a better human being, outperforms me in every metric. And here I was thinking that he wasn't worth my time over what? Over a feeling that I couldn't even explain. That is crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was actually enjoying the conversation uh, with a man that is way better than me in every way, and I would have never known because I was just too smart, or I was just too. It's not it. I'm not feeling it just because he didn't talk to me the way that I wanted to through text messages. It's stupid. It's embarrassing. It's
Yeah, I
very
mean,
much.
don't be so hard on yourself. I mean, I know you look at me, you're just like, how are you single? Like, what happened and all that stuff. But a lot of times when I do, like, let's say I have in my past when I've had a girlfriend, a lot of them, even in tears, say I had no idea who you were, your backstory, or anything like that. I'm so glad I met you. And it's because a lot of women, they just don't put any effort. And when they do, they realize that a lot of times the men that they think aren't worth their time tend to be secretly these like really awesome guys, right? They
Exactly.
don't they don't have the marketing that the guys on Instagram or whoever has. They have these guys are busy guys. These guys have lots on their plate. They have their families to take care of. They have their own social life, right? And they in their mind, they're not always looking for women like constantly that they would like a good girl in their life and to share their life with, but they just don't understand the marketing and how to get the chicks in front of them. And that's why I do what I do, because I know there's a lot of good guys out there, and I know a lot of them are competent guys. They dress well, they are funny, they're social, but they just don't know how to source the girl and how to talk to women or present themselves in a way, right? So we would like for women to be more like you and put in the work and all that stuff, but unfortunately here in America,
But I
women
didn't.
and
I
what's
didn't.
up?
I was lazy.
You're what?
I was lazy about this.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, you kind of like you had a little bit of self reflection, which is very rare in women. Um, but it. one of the even when I'm in public and I say, "Hey, women don't wanna be if women wanna be in relationships, they would." Women really don't like that. Out of all the things I say, they hate that the most because, um, I don't know why. It just makes women feel very, frustrated and angry with me, and I'm like, "Hey, it doesn't matter if you complain about it all day. What do your actions say? Are you putting in any effort? If you're not, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just you don't wanna be in a relationship with them, and that's it." So,
It's
with a
true.
man. Yeah, and that's the decision.
Okay, you can continue.
So actions speak louder than words, and that's basically it. That's all it boils down to, very simple. Like, a lot of everyone wants a fantasy in their head that they wanna be in a relationship, right? But understand that there's steps to that. It's not like you wish for it and you go to bed and you wake up, you get a phone call from a perfect guy, right? You have to women have to work at it too. I mean, they have to put themselves in situations where the men they like will be there. They have to go on dates, right? Depending on the cultural expectations, you can't not sleep with a guy for like weeks and expect him to stick around, especially if it's a guy who is also trying to date. Like here in America, if you don't show any kind of physical interest into the guy, eh, he's if he stays, you're probably gonna not like him. You're gonna be like, wow, or he's gonna leave and go for another option because he's
Yes.
got better things to do than to wonder if you like him or not. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
you tend to be a fan of my stories with women. Is there any story that, stuck out to you or made you,
There are
like,
many
think about
stories. I root for you to go back,
Thank you, thank you.
for you to go. The Puerto Rican girl. I don't think you've ever wrote a long tweet about her. The violin girl. I am a fan. I need to see those stories. I need to see more of this. But I think the violin girl,
Yeah, I talk about her a lot. It's 'cause I learned so much. Um, I
because she was
usually
competent, and I have to become that.
She was what?
She was very competent, like you said.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's when I realized I don't care that much about looks, which, I like a pretty girl, why not, right? But in that moment, what really moved me is to see a woman, because I live in a culture. America is a culture, like, the women, it's like they're a lazy millennial culture where being a loser or being incompetent is funny.
Yeah,
Like, "I didn't get up out of bed today," or, like, eating a lot and just all that while me, myself, my dad was in the military for 20 years, so I had to wake up on Saturday to help him around the house and in the yard, and then I, played sports in high school, and then I stayed in shape, and I joined the military myself for 6 years and was a nuclear reactor operator, which took so much studying. And then I got out into the world, and it's everyone's lazy. So when I saw someone that's like actually competent and shows up on time, and it wasn't even for me, just to see how she was with her friends and her family and her career. You know, I wouldn't say it was a turn on, right? Because guys, we get turned on by the physical stuff, like how she looks. What it was more was I was just impressed, right? And not only that, she was going through a lot. Like, she was in lots of pain. Her brother had just committed, suicide the year
mhm.
before I met her, right? Or, like, tail end of COVID. Um, she had a sister that was mentally impaired that was, really that not only was mentally impaired, but also hated her guts, right?
Oh,
And then she had a mother that was kind of sick too, and her parents were separate or divorced. Right, they lived in the same town, but their parents were not together, so there was only women 3 1, 2, 3, 4 women living under a roof.
and
Um,
she still seems sweet
yeah,
from how you
and
described it.
right, and with all that, she, uh, would pay for my dates sometimes. Like, she would I'd invite her out to dinner, and she said, "Oh, since I suggested this, I'm paying."
Yes.
She would still she was a violinist, right? And she had a culinary arts degree. So she was, she was very competent woman and didn't let her personal problems kind of come in the way of her, her life career. And as a guy, we I don't really expect much from women. I'm like, whatever, if you don't want to, if you cancel, you cancel. But she like really never canceled. She would cook for me, teach me how to cook certain things, 'cause she also had a culinary arts degree. And when you see that and you compare other women against that, right? You like it's just like, ladies, you have no excuse. Like I've met women that um do it all, right? And
Yeah.
even still love men. They still like doing things for men,
Yes.
and that really changed my perspective on that. And she also um, you know, she was very honest with me. She's and it's tough because in when you're in a casual relationship, right? She would sometimes cry, to me and about her personal life. And what do you do
Yes.
as a guy? She's not my girlfriend. She can leave at any moment. So when she finally left, after Christmas, like she gave me all these gifts and then she just disappeared. I wasn't mad, right? Because I know what she was going through. She was very clear that she didn't want a relationship. And also, like, I got to see what a competent woman looked like. And it was like I just glad I got the opportunity to be able to see what a competent woman, because that's one of the reasons like I go after women on Twitter, because they just don't they want it all, but they don't want to put any work. They want to be stay-at-home wives and do nothing and tweet all day and be on social media. Meanwhile, I'm seeing women that are like superstars and still have plenty of time for me and are completely present, never complain and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And yeah, that's just that's why it was so important to my life. There was so many lessons in there. And as a guy, kind of I want to say spoiled, but now you say, hey, like I want a person that's at that level. Not doesn't have to be perfect, but a person that's not lazy.
I see
You know.
that. When I read your tweet, I think one of the caught my attention that if you want a good woman, you have to settle. And I see that I have friends that are brilliant women that nobody knows.
Hmm.
They are loud and they are attractive and they work very hard and they are very feminine. I have a friend that supports her father, that pays for the health insurance of her grandparents, because in my field we are highly paid,
Hmm.
and they are not masculine, that do not talk in a masculine way, but still make a lot of money and takes care of her father, and they are gonna have the people don't know, men don't know them, mostly because they don't look a certain way. So, some of them even are attractive, and I know these women, they are very good women, and they're gonna be single too if they keep going like this.
Yeah, it's not easy because it's hard. The way I see it is that the women that think they're the most valuable are the loud. They're the ones on Instagram or Twitter, just
Yes.
blah 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 all day. And then this, there's women that are just quietly doing all these things. And if we could just discover them and they'd give us a chance, maybe, a lot of men. That's why I say there are good women. You just have to settle. And when I say settle, I don't mean settle like in a bad way. I mean like uh
Mm-hmm.
where they're weak, they can make up in other ways, right? Because Violin Girl was not gorgeous, right? I thought she was cute to me, but like compared to, other women I've dated, she's not as pretty. But she was very girly and feminine, and she was competent and all that stuff. And I that's a lot of guys, we don't know what we want. We just go with what, with either what's available or what, social media or media tells us what's important, right? And it's not until you date a certain type of girl, you're in a situation, you're just like, wait a minute, this is what I want, or something like this, or at least a girl that is like this. Doesn't have to be her because obviously she's a human being. She gets to decide too if she wants to be with me or not. But that's what you want. You know, men, we don't always know what we want. Sometimes we just go through what's in front of us, and then it's not later in life when we become more mature that we realize like, hey, what's important to me, not everyone else, just to me. And that takes time. Um, so yeah,
And
I'm sorry for making them so sad too. I know they make you sad, but um, yeah,
it's
it just
bittersweet, bittersweet.
bittersweet. Yeah.
I see
Um,
that perhaps in your content, I see that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to be a man that acts like this. And
mm,
speaking from personal experience and what I see, you can check every box and still you don't feel attracted to that man. He can be
mhm,
successful. He can, I speaking for myself, I doctor, outperforms me, has things going on for him, and still not being enough because I don't know, the feeling is not there for some reason. That is
mm,
the very dumb, stupid part. Maybe because, speaking from my experience, I had a long term relationship. When you are younger, you are more exposed. You are younger, so of course it's easier. And you are also more exposed, like in college. So when the guy comes and approaches you, and you have this feeling, oh, this is it, this is the one, and you keep chasing that same feeling with another guy. And I knew that was the one for me, and I had a long term relationship that didn't work out in the end. But I knew how I was supposed to feel when was the right one. And now you keep waiting for that feeling to come back because now you'll know, and that feeling doesn't come. A lot of people don't even get that. A lot of women don't have that in their entire lives. They probably will get married to someone who they won't feel like that about it. And I'm lucky it happened once. And to keep chasing for that feeling again is a path to loneliness and death. Because as you get older, you need to be more mature about it. You cannot be relying on a way he makes me feel a certain way. That was before, and you keep chasing that feeling. So what I see is that you do this, you do that, you make money, and you still don't make her feel how she wants it, and she's still going to say no
yeah,
because it is not that black and white. It's not that bleak.
yeah,
I'm not saying
it's,
that in a way that to comfort women because I think that is the recipe for disaster
yeah,
later on.
yeah,
Later on, because you don't know, you miss out on a guy that's better than you, who will who you will feel like that, and you miss out because you're still your brain's still there over how did you feel when you were back in the relationship when you were younger. That doesn't come back. I know that I sounded very complicated with English. I struggle.
I I know,
I
I
don't know if I
understand
was
exactly
clear.
what you're saying. Yeah, your English is really good, don't worry. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem that women face, these days, and, like, I even wrote it, like, "Hey, I don't feel sorry for them, but I sympathize." I don't know if that makes sense, like, I'm not trying to
Yeah.
comfort women, but I sympathize. I understand, like, hey, each gender has their struggle, and this is what we have to deal with, and it takes a lot of discipline to be in a relationship now. It isn't like you wake up, "Oh, I love it," like, you actively have to, um, you know, your social media, you have to regulate it because now social media will tell you, "Hey, you need to get a better man or he's not good enough," and all that, but
And,
yeah.
and it's not difficult. It is not difficult. It's just they don't want to be, and I include myself.
Yeah.
And to be honest, not even older women, because I see women in their 50s, divorced, and they have a boyfriend. They get a boyfriend just like that. I see women who are in in the 40s, almost 50, almost 60, and they become a widow. And next thing you know, they have a man living with them. So when she really wants to, really, really wants to, she can get a man.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
of course, as you get older, it's going to get harder. But even so, even if you really want it, you will find. I saw that. I see that. I was in Portugal with my family,
Mhm.
and I for some reason I like listening to stories of people's lives wherever I go. And anywhere I go, there's a story like that. I was in a hairdresser in Portugal. She was Brazilian. She was in her 50s. She had grown up kids. And she was living in Portugal because a Portuguese man fell in love and they get married. And now she's there on her second marriage,
Wow.
starting new life. And I see, no, even when they're older, if they really want to, they put in the effort, they still get it. They still
Two
get a
married.
man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's no excuse. There's no excuse. It's just lazy. It's just
Mhm.
convenience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
It's true.
very interesting that there's no excuses really. Like women have all the power if they want to get a it may not be with Mr. Perfect, but no, perfect isn't real. It's just something you made up in your mind. So, yeah. Do you have any other more questions for me?
Your book.
Well, it is about 25% done. I'm writing several articles per week on Substack, and so every part when I get to 100, then I'm going to put it all into a book. Like, my dating thread's 100 points. When I get to the final point, I finish writing about the 100th point, then I will um put it into a book and publish it. So
I believe.
25% done.
I
Yeah.
believe.
My goal is to be 50% done by the end of December, but we'll see. We'll see.
Very nice. I
Yeah.
hope I was clear.
No, yeah, you sound very clear, so don't worry.
And I hope you get together at least with a Puerto Rican. She was very beautiful. I remember seeing her pictures.
Yeah,
And
she has a boyfriend now.
I thought you said she. I hope she doesn't watch this.
That's okay. She won't. She won't.
I thought she was single. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time and you being so honest and all that stuff. And whenever
Yes.
you want to come on and talk, just let me know. We'll set up a time. I like your insights. I like your honesty. And honestly, hopefully, maybe another woman or even the guys can get some value or perspective from this. And
Yeah.
that's what we're here for to provide people perspective so they can solve their girl or boy problems in your case. So, all right,
Yes.
Maraisa, it's been sorry, Maraisa. Sorry.
Mara.
Um, thank you for your time, and I'll catch you next time.
Okay. Bye, Milk.
Bye.